Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on October 2nd, 2023 at approximately 4:15 p.m. PST. Now I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the precise tools I personally use in my day to day life, and the philosophies of life I talk about are the philosophies I personally live by. Now, I've handed these same tools over to literally thousands of other people, okay, with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. So I decided today that we're going to take a look at some of the common signs of alien abduction. Many of you have approached me, have I been abducted? How do you know if you've been abducted? How do I know if my child has been abducted? Now, is there a way to know for absolute certainty? That part I don't know, but there are some pretty solid signs, pretty common ones anyway. So before I get into it, right off the bat, we start with Raymond L here in with the gold. And Raymond, I am so happy the cranberry sauce method has been helping you. I'll tell you, it certainly helped me, but the corroboration is really nice. Yeah, very happy for you. Glad it's working. This is why I say, this is just another reiteration of why when I talk about a tool, it's something that I personally am going to use if it applies to me. Philip, you are in with the silver. And yes, missing time is one of those potential markers. Okay. It's really fun trying to figure out if you're missing time or if you just lost track of it. In my case, I actually had to wait until things started to happen because I can't track time to start with. When I was a kid, I was literally diagnosed with temporal dissociative disorder, meaning literally, I don't know how I do not track time, period. Okay. Crystal O, you are in with the bronze. And Imitonga, welcome aboard. You've come in with honorable mention. Now, what do we got here? We have the ferret. How you doing there, ferret? I hope things have been going well for you today. And Joe, how you doing? I know your life has been getting really hectic lately. In a good way, I hope is the way you see it. I know it's got to be an exciting time for you. Now, there are a lot of different things going on. And like I said, I was going to do my best to get a little bit more organized. Okay, so we might as well start with the idea that Philip came up with. It is one of the actual markers anyway. Okay, sometimes you'll be going along, everything's going great, and all of a sudden you come to, and I mean you've been doing whatever. You could have been sitting down reading a book. And maybe now there is a problem with books. Okay. It's a good problem, by the way. Sometimes you get so engrossed in a book or in a show that you completely forget the time. Adam, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Sometimes you get so engrossed that you lose track of time. This is not the same thing as missing time. Okay, although it may feel very similar in a lot of ways. But no, missing time is more an issue of it feels like you've been tracking things, like you've been doing things like, let's say you were doing dishes. Okay. Now dishes only take a certain amount of time. But the next thing you know, you look at the clock and it's like 3 hours later. Okay. And you're going like, what the heck? Or maybe you went for a walk and you know you were only walking to the grocery store and back. But instead of it taking you only a 15-minute walk, okay, you end up coming back 6 hours later. Some of these are a little extreme, but I have talked to people that have had this. Okay. Adam, yes, I was just going through my email today. Thank you very much. The testimonial did come through. I have not, in all fairness, read it yet, although that's not actually a hard thing to do. Well, let's close that down. We go back up to here, and where are we? All kinds of interesting things there. I know I saw it. Now, where was it? There we are. Okay. Thank you so much for Adam. I really do appreciate it. It's things like this testimonial that are going to make things. And while I've got you on the line there, I'm presuming the answer is yes. But do you mind terribly if I read this out? If I read this out loud there, Adam? Where are we here? Go back to there. What do we? Okay, now this is what Adam wrote. Now, Adam was one of these people that I'll show you what the book is here. Whoop, let's not break my neck while we're at it. That's usually bad for the health. Okay, that is not where it belongs, so why not? There it is. Okay, now, the book I'm referring to, like, as you guys know, and we are going to cover the abductions, this is something I'm actually writing some information out on as well. Hence, I've got this neat little pad. I always keep one of these handy when I'm working, or when I'm not for that matter, but this is the book I'm referring to, Believe in Your Finances and Follow Your Dreams. It was the tools contained inside this book, and as you can see, really, a really nice small book. I don't believe in making things complicated if I can avoid it. But this is literally what Adam was kind enough to write. Adam picked up one of these books about a month or so back. Okay, I believe. Maybe a little less time, but what he wrote was before this handy guide, I was always stressing out about my money, about my finances. But after purchasing and reading Believe in Your Finances and Follow Your Dreams, it all clicked. It made sense how to budget. The tips obtained in this guide are things everyone should know, and this should be taught in schools. I was amazed at just how much extra money I actually had. I was able to budget enough for my small family of three to be able to buy a much needed new vehicle. I'm extremely happy with the positive outcomes I've had after reading this guide. With a little bit of effort, anyone and everyone could have the same positive results outlined in Believe in Your Finances and Follow Your Dreams. Thank you very much, R. Keith Andrews, for making this pinnacle financial guide of our time for people living paycheck to paycheck. Oh, rest assured, Adam, much as I agree, I appreciate the last comment, I'm not about to edit a thing that comes in on testimonial. Now, okay. I will, on the other hand, utilize it when I'm advertising, but this little book, okay, as you just heard, this took the finances of Adam with his effort, his money. Okay. Now, the answer to the other side of the question here, where are we? YouTube, there. This is first and foremost, this is the email. Now, this book, by the way, is in your hands, $20 Canadian. Okay. This here is the email that you utilize to actually order it, because at this point you can only order it directly through me. Okay. And it's the same email that I utilize for PayPal. Hopefully, and I have seen some hiccups, but we will work something out to get this to you ASAP. Okay. but that's the email. Okay. Now, with that in mind, these other two little books, The Backbone That Turned My Life Around, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams, and Believe in Your Business and Follow Your Dreams. These are simple tools. I like the idea that they're simple because, quite frankly, as far as I've found from the number of people I've talked to, it is absolutely imperative. And I will deal with those at another time. But it kind of started out that way. So now let's go back to there. Now, missing time, like I said, it can be really disconcerting for anyone, that suffers from missing time. First of all, it takes your whole day out of whack. You're sitting there going, but I couldn't have spent 15, I couldn't have taken 5 hours to walk to the grocery store and back. It doesn't make sense. But I can't remember anything else. Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And as per usual, Nathan is in the house listening from work. Thankfully, Nathan is working a lot. Well, thankfully for him, he might want to retire at this point. But this is the link to Nathan's live stream. So absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, come right out and tell him. Come right out, give him a thumbs up, and do subscribe to the channel, and then share the daylights out of it. Now, with that in mind, when you end up missing time, I don't know about you, but if I lose track of time, it throws me completely off. This is sometimes because, like I said, I don't track time myself to start with. So it really does create a problem. You've noticed sometimes, I'm sure of it, that I'm very scattered getting off and starting off. It's because I'll sit down in front of my computer, I'll start working on something, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be on air. Now today, my son happens to be home, and he walks in, and he looks at me and goes, Dad, it's 4 o'clock. You gotta get ready to go. Well, this gave me enough time to get my head on straight. Instead of going 10, 20 after, uh-oh, gotta get in. But and we have here what's going on. Ferret, yes, that is the same email for the newsletter, and I'm just about done writing the one for November. But yes, that is absolutely the same email. Where are we here? Semper Fi there, Black Dragon. Glad you could join us. Oh, Joe goes, I got to get out of the house today. My dad took me to the lake to go fishing. I wanted to catch a fish or even meet a significant other. What did happen? What did happen? I was by a lake. Yeah, I'm glad you got out. I gotta ask you, did you manage to catch your fish? That would be fantastic. Ken, how you doing? Glad you can join us. Now where are we here? Just scroll down a fraction. I'm actually letting things get ahead if I can. Joe, that is great. My spirit guide, he goes, my spirit guide came with me because I talked to the old man as I was waiting for a bite. And who do we got here? Did I miss somebody? I did. Susie B, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully your day has been going well. I look at missing time, and the moment you miss it, it is really disconcerting, I find. And the number of people I've talked to have absolutely told me that when they lose track of time, it offsets the whole day. Now you're trying to play catch up. Not a fun thing. Although it's a lot more fun when you try and play with catch up, as I found out with one client of mine. Eternity Eternal, how you doing? We are talk about a quick start. We've been online here now for Well, 15 minutes. I started a little early, and we are already at, what have we got in the chat room right now? We've already got 15 in the chat room. Oh, okay. If you like the stream, guys, and especially if you're new, well, no, not especially if you're new, but if you like the stream, do me a favor, give us a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay, because it's through this method that we are going to turn this world around. Okay, got a whole pile of news coming up for, what is it now? That's gaming, so yeah, for Wednesday, nope, that's Wednesday. What am I looking at here? Just trying to figure out what I was setting on in motion. What is that? I'll have to get back to that. But there's a lot of information coming up, a lot of new stuff coming up. And for those of you already getting my newsletter, Positive Perspectives, I'm adding a whole pile of new information to it, a lot of which has to do with the offer and with what I'm offering through the business. Things are evolving very quickly. That is terrible, Joe. Hopefully, the next time you go out fishing, you'll come home with something really nice, as in fish. Somehow, I think you might have a problem meeting that special someone while you're fishing. If you catch one on the end of a hook, the odds are they're not going to be in that good of a shape. Okay, but now I could go back and forth over missing time, but there's a lot of other things that can indicate it. Okay. Now, one of the other things, if you're, and this is something that is more prevalent in people that end up taking. Okay, we'll think that through before we speak. Okay, you may run into a case where everything's been going great. Okay, everything has been going really good, and then all of a sudden you suddenly find you're afraid of, let's say, for instance, you've gotten along with animals really well, and all of a sudden you find yourself absolutely terrified by cats, by some animal, whether it's cats, reptiles, insects. Maybe you were a budding entomologist. This is a bit of an extreme case. And all of a sudden you're absolutely terrified of spiders. Okay, where you haven't run into any spiders that you're aware of. Okay, these sudden extreme phobias can quite often be an indicator that you've been taken and experienced something rather, to say the least, traumatic. Now, I am very interested if any of you have actually experienced this kind of change. Okay, now I know these happen because I've talked to enough people. One of the things I used to specialize in, and still do, when I was looking at what I've been told is actually not counseling, but coaching. I've been informed that a lot of what I do is actually better billed as coaching where it comes to dealing with things. And the difference, as it was laid out to me literally today, is when you're counseling somebody, I've always held this was a problem. When you're counseling somebody, you're looking at the past. What happened? How are you dealing with it? And let's open that up, peel it back, and take a serious look at what you went through. Well, if you've all of a sudden got a phobia, the last thing you desire to do is take a look at that, at that fear right head on. Most people are more interested in simply being able to move, in simply being able to move forward. Now, counseling points to the problem and goes, how do we, what was it? How do you feel about it? It is very counterproductive in my eyes. Coaching, on the other hand, it turns out, is the new way of saying, okay, this is where you're standing. Where do we go from here? And where it comes to abductions, I get a lot of people asking me, is it possible I was abducted? Well, right off the bat, is it possible? The answer is yes. But let's look at the system you're dealing with. Okay, missing time is an obvious example for most people. Okay, A sudden phobia showing up is another one. Now, here's the other thing, and do I have it handy? Right there. Okay. Uh, R. Oh, well. What, pray tell, did I do with it? That's all advertising. What I'm looking for. Are you going to tell me there? Yeah, there we are. This is the file I was looking for. Just can't see for looking at it. Okay, here's another indicator that you may or may not have. But, well, you'll see what this is. It's just a file of mine for stuff I work on. Hopefully it's sitting in here. Here we are. That's part of it. Need that one out. Probably would have been an idea to have this file open. But hey, we know I'm really organized on occasion, not. Gonna have to get this a little bit more organized for myself. There we are. Okay, now, this is another one of those things that you find this mark anywhere on your body. Okay, this mark here. Okay, it looks like, as you can see, an equilateral triangle. Okay, with a little bar across the bottom. Now, this pattern here, let me ask you this. Have you ever seen this pattern before? And much more importantly, have you ever borne witness to it on yourself? Okay, it could be any number of places. The one I ended up with was right behind my ear here. Okay, right behind my left ear. But this mark, as you can see, this is called the dextrospanalizer. Okay, now this mark is a definitive mark that is highly likely caused by an abduction by the zeta reticulans, by the Greys, and used in their hybridization program. Okay, now let's scroll down because it looks like I'm getting way ahead of myself here. Okay. Now, ferret. Ferret goes, sometimes I have freaky dreams about Greys coming into my bedroom and looking at me sleeping. I don't know if I just watched too many sci-fi movies. Um, I have seldom, it's technically possible, but seldom have I heard of somebody watching so many sci-fi movies that that this dream comes up. It may come up if it was too much of a sci-fi movie, or particularly traumatic. Like, for instance, when I was a child, I watched a real bad B-class movie called Day of the Spider. I had a nightmare about that the night I watched it. But very seldom does somebody have repeating dreams of this ilk, just based on a movie. Okay, if you're dreaming about Grays specifically standing around your bed, okay, and especially if you see this mark on yourself somewhere, it is quite possibly one of the strongest indicators of an abduction. Now, one thing to keep in mind with the hybridization abduction base is you are not in danger. Okay, they utilize the hybridization program, okay, in order to grow cultural interpreters. Okay, now, this said, it is a fascinating question from my end. When you wake up from a dream like this, okay, when you wake up with a dream like that, Ferret, do you wake up really anxious, or do you just wake up going, well, that was really kind of trippy, or somewhere in the middle? Okay. What do we got here? Now, yeah, let that roll down a little. Okay. Oops, scroll back up here. Boy, do I get ahead of myself in a hurry. Okay. Now, just scroll down. I had to scroll up to see what I missed. I have no idea how Dave manages to stay so clear, so solidly on top of it. And speaking of Dave, this is the link to Dave's show. Okay, to Spaced Out Radio. Okay, absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, come out, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay, now we take a look at this. What do we do here? Okay, scroll down a bit, and I went that far before. Yeah, so far, Susie B, the day has been rather productive. I managed to get a number of things sorted around, and especially where it comes to my company. Okay, I will be putting information in the newsletter for November coming out. I'm expanding the way I'm doing things. You know, doing my best, and like I said, one of the reasons that I'm leaving the newsletter free, as well as leaving these videos free, is because of the fact the information is necessary, and it's my way of giving back to the community, even though I'm striving to build a business itself. Now what do we got here? Football goes, I want Thanksgiving. I want Thanksgiving too. Here's the neat part. You can have Thanksgiving. My understanding, and I'm a little hooked on this, but my understanding, according to my desktop calendar, Thanksgiving for Canada is on the 9th, on the Monday. Now the fact is, my ex-wife is cooking Thanksgiving dinner, but that's done on Sunday, so I won't be on Sunday. And that's Sunday the 8th I won't be on. Okay. Um, but yeah, absolutely. And Thanksgiving is one of those really wonderful things. One of the things I look at when we go back to this issue of, have you been abducted? If you have, really big thing to be thankful for, you're back here. Well, maybe that's not something to be thankful for, but a lot of the people around you are likely thankful you're still here. Aussie Gold, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, 10:31 in the morning. You're just a little ahead of us, and that puts you way down in the Southlands there. Hopefully your day has been going well. Now, Derek, how you doing? And Derek goes, Hey everyone, letting everyone know. Upon further review, Dave Scott has declared me the winner of last night's after-hour trivia challenge. I get a pair of SOR things. Hey, nice. Congratulations there, Derek. Really happy for you. That's one of those things I got to look at and see which way things can go. But that's absolutely fantastic. You know, the nice part about it from my standpoint is anytime you can work with somebody and when you can go into a chat room and you can come away from that video feeling better, feeling more empowered, feeling happy. You know, in a sort of tongue-in-cheek sort of way, it'd be nice to have people come into this chat room and suffer from missing time because they enjoyed themselves so much, you forget what time it was. Okay. On the plus side, I know when I come to the 2 hour mark, I go, okay, we're hitting 2 hours, time to pull the plug. Okay. Now, what do we got here? Yeah, here's the thing, Derek. I can understand you're very competitive. You don't like to lose. From my standpoint, okay, I never developed that competitive streak to speak of. primarily because I got thrown out of the whole sports sector when I was in junior high. Grade 8, they pulled the plug on gym for me. Yeah, I'm just looking at this, Philip. You're going, some women don't bite. You know, there's an old saying that goes, some do, some will, some won't, some do, some don't, some might. Okay. You guys can take that comment and do with it what you will. Okay. What do we go? Oh, Ferris just probably answered a while ago. Farron is just going, sometimes I have freaky dreams about Graves coming to my bedroom and looking at me sleeping. Oh, no, I read that already. Where are we? Just looking at what Philip was mentioning. I missed a comment here, so I can't do much with it. Now, one of the nice things that we have to look at. Okay, whoop. Um, Sad to say, Derek, I've actually got a friend that's why he quit working with explosives. But the problem with that is here's a bigger problem. Derek was just saying I'd hate to have our Keith defusing a bomb. To save us, he would walk away during bomb diffusion. Although that's an interesting idea, you've got a bigger problem. I'm partially colorblind. So looking at the bomb, I'm like, okay, well, let's pull this wire and hope it's the right one, or let's clip this and pray that works. And by the way, that usually doesn't work. You know, so no, bomb diffusion, I'm more likely, and depending on my mood, I'm more likely to sit on top of it and strive to contain the blast. Probably not going to work well, you know, but Derek, I honestly didn't see the UFO in Chicago, so I'm not sure what that one looks like. But okay, yeah, fair goes no mark of it. Yeah, yeah, I'm not sensing you being in any trouble either there, Ferret. Okay. Oh, by the way, I do recall having another, and I have not identified the tool yet. When I was a child, I had a mark on my thigh that was about that big around. Okay, it was about that big around. Round. It looked like a meat tenderizer. No bruising, just the raised mark. Again, if you've got strange marks, strange cuts, little scoop marks that look like somebody took a tiny wee melon scoop out of your leg, or your arm. These are indications that may indicate abduction. Okay. And again, the fact of the matter is, usually when somebody gets picked up and they're getting samples taken, they are not in any functional danger. Okay. This is something that does happen if you talk to the people around you. And I know how challenging that can be. But if you talk to the people around you, the odds are that, especially relatives, the odds are somebody's gone through it before. Oh, now we just scroll down here a little. Philip, the answer to your question, Canadian Thanksgiving is, we've always focused on having turkey for Thanksgiving, for Thanksgiving dinner. Now, fortunately for my kids, my ex-wife is the one that cooks. You don't want me cooking turkey dinner. This is not going to go well. Okay, so I just don't. You know, Absolutely, you can. We have usually like, I know in my house, we usually have turkey at Thanksgiving, at, I guess it's 4 times, Thanksgiving, Easter, Christmas, and New Year's. Okay, are when we usually have Thanksgiving. Myself, I've gotten past the issue of going, "Oh, you only have it those 4 times a year." But because I'll take a full turkey and turn it into turkey soup. What do we got here? Wish it didn't do that. I'm just reading what's here. Uh-oh. Oh, that was a yeah, Joe's just going, it used to be for me when I was younger. Thanksgiving was WWF Survivor Series. Yeah, Survivor Series Demolition. Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant. That was when I was watching wrestling a lot. Recently, in the last couple of weeks, we've gotten back into watching it again. We being my youngest son and myself. Yeah, Jared goes, Keith, not the green wire. The way I look at it this way is if you cut the green wire, all your problems are solved. Of course, unfortunately, if you can't tell which one's green, you don't know if your problems are all solved until you stand at the gate going, something happened. And was I abducted? Because I've got missing time. I don't recall the journey up here. Okay. And again, yes, I take a lot of the idea of abduction in sort of tongue in cheek for a lot of reasons. Okay. Something else that is very indicative, and the person that has been abducted may not even be aware of it, but a change in personality. Okay. A change in personality behaviors, an odd response to things that used to never have a response. These are things that can indicate hidden trauma that the person doesn't even know they've had. Okay. But again, all of what I'm talking about are possible symptoms. This does not categorically mean you have been abducted. It means it is a plausible explanation. Okay. That's one of the things we got to keep in mind here. There are no dead giveaways, dead. You absolutely were abducted. Only indicators. And of course, if you've got more than one, all of a sudden we have an interesting situation. Okay. Ken Owens is going, two things that have always, I think, bothered me. No use for anything in the reptile family, and little things like gnomes. Now, couple of things there, Ken. Okay, if you've got no use for anything in the reptile family, there's a few reptilians that could cause that. Now, understand the reptilian. Now, you've got no use for them. I'm presuming the way you phrase that, you're not actually afraid of reptiles so much as no real draw to them or no real interest in spending time around them. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm still way up the line here, I think. Don't know how to tell how far up. And quite often, fair, that is possible. The way I look at it is this. If, regardless of whether somebody has been abducted or not, if you're comfortable with the assessment that, that if it's not bothering you and you're looking at it going, I just had a nightmare, real trippy nightmare, but it's just a nightmare. If that's where you're comfortable, do not push any further and do not let anybody else tell you or convince you you got to look for a deeper meaning. No, you don't. You have to find a way to be comfortable. Where people like me come in and go, okay, how do you cope with it? How do you move forward? Is when said nightmare is causing a problem in your day to day life. Okay. When your life is being interrupted by your dream, by your nightmares, or by visions you're having, or by feelings of being followed that you're having, which, by the way, is another very strong indicator that you may have been abducted. If you're constantly looking over your shoulder, and I don't mean over your shoulder at eye level. Okay, the time what I'm referring to is looking over your shoulder above you. If that's where you're looking, again, this is another indicator that you may have been abducted. And here's the reason I say may have been. When I discovered this issue and was looking into it, I was told that only about 1% of the people, when they are walking along and they feel somebody following them, only about 1% will look above them, up to the rooftops and above. Okay. The other 99% look at eye level or below. Okay. Nathan's just sharing here. My dad had a time event happening, gain time. Then he was diagnosed with cancer. Yeah, gaining time can be a little bit interesting, but what that boils down to is your brain goes into hyperdrive, taking on a whole lot of extra information. This is not time travel. This is accelerated neural connection. Okay, which is a whole different issue. Uh-oh, Derek goes, you want to see a chunk taken out of a leg? I have that right now. You know, and sometimes usually it's just if you're dealing with nice people anyway, okay, that chunk will look like a little melon scoop. Now, I don't know if you guys know what a melon scoop is. I don't know. I might have one. Why don't I go and see if I've got one? You give me just a minute or two, I'll be right back. Well, so much for that, Deb. Think I've got a melon scoop around here somewhere. But figured I'd bring out one like this. Okay, melonscope looks very similar to that. Okay, but a lot, quite often a lot smaller. A lot deeper. But this is what I'm referring to about a little scoop being taken out of your arm. Now, yeah. Now, as far again, just going back here, Ken, this is why I left it sit. The reptilian thing may be an issue of just because turns out that is a very common thing for people to have a problem with. Gnomes, again, are another issue. You see little people running around in your house, okay, running around in the field that are only this tall. There's an interesting problem here. It may not be a question of being abducted. Where it comes to the gnomish people, it may just be they threw you for a bit of a loop. Now, just scroll down a little here. Whoop. Shadow, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And I think I missed somebody else here. Adam, Black Dragon. Okay, we scroll down here. Shadow, how you doing? And again, guys, this is the link to Shadow and Sun's stream. Okay, so copy that. We pop it down here. And there we go. Do drop in, listen to what he has to say. I unfortunately did not make it to the show the other day. I'm terribly unhappy about that. But that is the link to Shadow's stream. Absolutely drop in, give him a listen. Give him a listen if you like what he has to say. Give him a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay. Oh, there we go. Yeah, apparently, yeah, I really wanted to drop in on you there, Shadow, but my system just didn't hold up. But apparently, Raven and Grimm stole the show on that one. Now, football, you're asking, what do you think about humans taking animal prescriptions? Well, I mean, to me, this is foolhardy. Okay, now understand, I used to take illicit drugs. Okay, as in cocaine and marijuana to be precise. This is not a bright idea either. The moment you start taking prescriptions designed for animals, okay, you're literally taking a drug that you have no idea what it's going to do because it's designed for a totally different physiology. Okay, so this, to my way of thinking, is just a plain bad idea. Okay, do I understand people do it, or they go, well, it's just medication. Well, it is just medication, but it's tailor-made for a different species. This is not a wise option. Okay, and by the way, taking the wrong drugs or taking the wrong combination of drugs can cause missing time. This is why I say missing time is not in itself a clear indicator that you've been taken. Okay, it is simply an indicator that you're missing time. Then you start looking at the rest of us. Hey, Black Dragon, you have a follower here, apparently. A follower, a convert, or a recent, or just admitting he came out of the shadow. As Shadow and Sun is going, bacon is life. It's like bacon, bacon, give me bacon. See, Derek, you work slowly. I was doing a minimum of 6 lines a night. Not trying to compete here. It was just a stupid phase in my life. The really funny part about it is I got into it to get 100% total stranger out of it. It worked. In answer to that other question, no, I am not using anymore. Using a whole lot less, as in I haven't even taken any since 1987. So it's been 35 years now, well, 36 years since I used any illicit drug. It's been about a week since I went and visited people off world. Much bigger high. When we talk about a high, going off world is one heck of a high in a much more literal sense. What do we got? Yeah, Shadow goes, hey, we were all impetuous in our youth, Keith. No harm, no foul. Yeah, in my case, I didn't have any, at least quantifiable side effects. I don't know, maybe I'd have been a little less gapped, but no way of telling. Nope. Sad to say from my end, and this is where I get a little too literal. I'm not sure what the yellow butter was supposed to be, but I know when I was growing up, we used to use margarine, primarily because it was cheap. Oh, my apologies, Farrah. Yes. Um, Farrah goes, wait a minute. You were off world recently? Um, Friday night, Saturday morning, depending on how you look at it. For me, this is just plain normal. Okay, but yeah, because what happens is I go off world. Number one, it gives me a better world view of what's actually happening down here. This is why I don't bother watching the news. I can see where the hotspots are because what they track up there is there a complication going on? Is there a complication happening that is likely to affect the planet, not the people? The wars on this planet are of little to no consequence to the offworlders. First and foremost, okay, and there are some people, I know of a couple in particular, that when they were taken up, and instead of just being quarantined in a room, they were taken out onto a flight deck, much like I was, and problems in the natural order of things on the planet were pointed out, and these people, which were high-ranking professionals, okay, had these pointed out and were told specifically, these are problems you guys are causing in nature. Get your act together and get it straightened out. Now that is up to humans. Okay, humans are the ones that created this mess, not the offworlders, not the elites, not God himself or herself, depending on who you talk to. Okay, humans were given free will, free choice. You were not given freedom from consequence. Okay, and this whole issue of when we're looking at abductions, I'm just taking a look. Whoop, ah, yeah, I was mentioning another one of those indications. Okay. Yes. An odd phobia coming up, odd behavior. Something else that happens to a lot of people. Um, Shadow, the answer to your question, doesn't omnipotence trump free will? Certainly it does. But when you get to the level of omnipotence, you have no interest in changing free will. If you've got an interest, your ego is still in the way and you're not omnipotent. Iowax, welcome aboard. It's really funny you should put it that way, but that is technically possible. Iowax goes, for all I know, I'm the only human here, and you're all just aliens. My little brother pointed out to me one day. He goes, maybe I'm not even here. Maybe what's happening is you're talking to yourself, and you've pictured me being here, and so you ask me a question, you hear a response that makes sense coming from me. But in reality, I'm not here, you're not here for me, and I'm having a conversation with myself, and I'm getting a response from you that makes sense from my end. This is where we can go down one heck of a rabbit hole, and I'm going to leave that to Raven. Okay. Well, and that's just it. The funny part about it is I've been called so many things over the years, I don't worry about it. But, you know, the way I look at their shadow is this. I'm not worried about whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. For purposes of conversation, I'm just going to go with the idea that the massive majority on these people are human. Okay, and we'll just settle for that. Okay, because unless we have guidelines in a conversation, if we don't have agreeable points or agreed upon points of reference, we have a massive problem. Okay, it's kind of like the idea of did I lose time or did the rest of the world lose time? Okay, and that's one of the issues we run into. Yeah, Nathan goes, I'm here and not here at the same time. Also known as I'm here and everywhere else. Definitely a bad case of cottonmouth today. Yeah, yeah, the economy is a whole different thing, a whole different bunch of issues. And that's something we're going to have to deal with. Where are we? Ken, have you met someone and then realized you met off world? Personally, I have. Okay, I've met people that I really didn't realize I knew them, that I have either met and then realized we met off world. And we discovered this by discussing what we remembered seeing. And all of a sudden, we're filling each other's gaps. This same event for me, it would you look at that, looks like I'm a conductor. Conductor does know how to follow a beat, but a conductor nonetheless. I can rank right up there with some of the other conductors I've seen. But um, this issue of meeting somebody off world and then running into them again. Okay, there's this familiarity thing. Now, of course, because I don't remember names in the first place, I suffer from this a lot. So I don't worry about it until the other person says, "Hey, we've met before. Do you remember this event?" Okay, or this is what I was seeing, and then the trigger will happen. I'll go, "Here's the fill in." Okay, I've done this countless times with people either that I've met off world or that I've met in past lives. Okay, now what do we got here? Yeah, I usually find mine down behind the bedside table or the dryer stole it. Are we down at the bottom? We are so. Now, like I said, the different symptoms that we've been talking about are not necessarily indicators you have been taken. They are simply indicators that say you may have been taken. My screen just decided it was going to reboot. That was fun. You know, so I'm looking at this. One of the other things that you may find, okay, is if your body is not responding the same way. One thing that is a pretty solid indication, but it only happens for one group. Have you ever come out of you've been sleeping, whether you were sleeping to start with doesn't matter, but you wake up from an apparent nap and you're coughing so hard you end up with this bluish kind of gunk coming out of your throat, coming out of your lungs. Okay, if you've had that, it'll be a pale blue or an almost well, definitely translucent, but it's kind of a bluish liquid, bluish gel, if you will. Okay, this is another indicator. And that one I've suffered more often than I care to count. Okay, but that is an indication you've been taken by the merfolk, by the whaling or by the sea elephant. Okay, they have a tendency of interacting with each other quite nicely. So, this is one of those definite indicators, as it was. Heard a cell phone go ding and don't. There it is. Ah, there we are. Derek, your post just came in. Oh, well, that's not good. Plug that in before it goes belly up. Okay. Whoop. Okay, it's just loading right now. Oh, speaking of which, I went down to check on my cell phone. Turns out that I can pick up a new one for about $450, which is a really good thing in my eyes. Okay, we are just taking a look. Well, get that out of the way. Ah, now I see it. Talon. That is likely a Talon ship. Okay, but talk about a good clear picture of it. Because there is not a Terran plane that I know of there, Derek, that has that configuration. But yeah, that one I've seen before. What do we got? Yeah, see, here's the thing, from that standpoint, Derek. Derek says have $100 smartphone from Walmart. I personally will not deal with Walmart. Okay, they did something that I absolutely was against. I quit going to them a year before lockdown. Yeah, but you gotta remember, Nathan, I'm talking 450. For you guys, that's probably about 375-ish. From my standpoint, that I don't mind. That's a price I can work with. Okay. Yes, I prefer top value for bottom dollar. Yeah, Derek, Kmart used to be an excellent little setup. Well, the problem there, football, is the reason I switched to iPhone was because number one, I used to deal with Android through Samsung until I bought a cell phone through a company, paid for the extended warranty. The company wouldn't honor the warranty I paid for, and Samsung itself refused to honor the 1 year manufacturer's warranty. Okay, so I just simply quit buying from Samsung, period. Now I'm on an iPhone. We gotta understand, my other half is also on an iPhone, and that means we can be on the phone as long as we choose without paying any sort of bill. Like we've got free calling between each other. To me, this is a great setup. Yeah, in all fairness, football, that's all I use it for. Okay, well, that's not true. With iPhone, I use FaceTime as well. But 99% of the time I'm on FaceTime, that's with my other half. Okay, when I'm doing my consulting work, that's done through Skype and through Yahoo Messenger. I'm just looking at this, and this is a neat thing. Well, this is true. They absolutely do have minimal stores. Fortunately, one of those minimal stores is right in Kelowna here, and they've treated me very well, and this is why I'll go back to them. This is why I've gone back to them for years. But you are right. Ease of service is definitely a big issue. When we start looking at the whole idea of whether or not you've been abducted. Okay, abductions everybody talks about with so much fear. And it's understandable because the whole situation is essentially out of your control. Okay, but understand the symptoms we've talked about. There's only a couple of them that are real strong indicators that I've never found an explanation for them elsewhere. Are, for instance, when you see a scoop mark or this three spot this three spot imprint. Okay, these are pretty solid indicators that you're looking at abduction. I've never seen anything that actually looks like that caused by any other thing other than the dextrospanalyzer. Okay, so I mean, when you look at missing time, well, let's face it, if you've ever done drugs ever, okay, and especially if you're doing them now, and for me, I don't care, do what you will, okay, but drugs can create a very big problem. Raven, how are you? Glad you could join us. Now, where are we here? We have Raven. And this is the link to Raven's live show. And we pop that in there. So do drop in, give her a listen. If you like what she has to say, okay, if you like what she has to say, give her a thumbs up. Do subscribe to her channel and share the daylights out of the thing. It's this interaction between each other that's going to help turn society around and put it back on a path that is much better. Okay. Oh. Philip is going, what causes the sulfury brimstone smell? Well, I guess the logical answer would be brimstone. People tell me hell doesn't exist. I'm telling you they're mistaken. It does. And fire and brimstone, their hot tubs are way too hot. I'm not impressed with hot tubs anyway, but those ones take it to a whole new level. But basically, if you have a demon coming into this world nearby, okay, odds are that's where the smell is coming from because they bridge the gap between the netherworld and this one. And yes, the olfactory senses will pick it up. This is quite often why animals will pick it up themselves. Oh, I forgot to do that again. At least I'm consistent. We really don't need that door open. Okay, now what do we got? Well, they tried. In my case, they didn't like what was going on, so they killed me. No, I cannot prove it. No, I'm not going after them. And no, I'm not about to try and figure it out. The way I figure it, I know what happened. It was the off-worlders that turned around and actually saved and pardon the pun, black. But the off-worlders, Strazazians specifically, were the ones that saved my bacon. Okay, but I woke up in the morgue. Okay, and this was the extreme. Now, bear in mind, I'd already witnessed 197 of my friends get murdered, tortured, terminated, whatever you wanted to call it. Usually both. Okay. But, the reality of it is that things are a little screwy on the case. JCL, how you going? How you doing? Adam. Uh-oh. You have a good night there, Adam. Hope everything goes well as far as Ava is concerned. Let's face it, little munchkins can well, let's face it, you look at them, and munchkins sometimes have lungs that are absolutely bizarre. And boy, can they get the volume up. But I'm so glad, Adam, that you managed to get here. That you did manage to share some of your time with us. This world is changing. And yes, in answer to that wonderful question that goes with it, Joe goes, "What's a midlife crisis?" I don't know if mine's a midlife crisis. I went through. If I'm hoping that this whole turnaround that I'm doing right now is a midlife crisis. Okay, but a midlife crisis, people say it's a midlife crisis. All of a sudden, you're looking at in the mirror and you're going, "I'm not happy with my life the way it is. I'm going to make a radical change." Now, quite often, people chalk up a collapsed marriage with no viable warning, because of a midlife crisis. Okay, I'm telling you, more often than not, a midlife crisis more accurately seems to be, I need an excuse to change completely from the direction I was on. Okay, the reason I say that I'm hoping this is a midlife crisis for me, that I've just reached the end of my rope and gone, I'm no longer happy. I desire my life to change. Because if this is midlife, that means I'm going to break 120 years in a functional body in this world. Okay, I'm aiming for 137. Don't know if I'll manage to pull it off, but a midlife crisis basically boils down to and in my understanding, you basically reach a point in your life where you're no longer content with the way your world has been going. So you're now changing that path, usually by a radical shift. Okay. And no, by the way, an abduction seldom causes a midlife crisis. Okay. Sometimes it causes a massive wake up call. And there are people that, it's pretty indicative. They had no interest in, they were very much, and I've seen this, they were very much into the corporate thing. Money, money, money. I need money, money, money. And all of a sudden, they no longer have the drive for money, but they're out in the bush, planting trees. They toss their business suit aside and they go out into a retreat somewhere, and that's where they settle. This is quite often because they had a wake up call, sometimes by an abduction, sometimes because they finally clued in to what they've been sensing all along. Okay. But again, these are things that can indicate abduction. But one thing that I do strongly recommend, okay, whenever you feel like you may have been abducted, look for any quantifiable, any logical source that may indicate that may answer the question. If you cannot find one, go back to the idea of, okay, you've been abducted. You don't need to prove it. Okay, and this is the thing you got to remember. It is not required you prove to anybody what you've been through, but it is imperative you learn how to cope with it. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why, when I was getting things set up today for my business, I looked and went, okay, coaching is the new catchphrase that more accurately seems to adjust to the whole issue of moving forward instead of focusing on the past. So, absolutely. And in the newsletter, I'm going to be setting out a whole new set of prices. Well, sort of a new set. My consulting fees are staying the same. but I am expanding things into different options. Okay, they are still standing at $80 an hour, $20 in 15 minutes, but I am going to be adding new things to it. Okay, well, that's terrible. I'm almost out of water. Which is not really surprising. Okay, yeah, I was just going to say we cannot be at the 2 hour mark, yeah. But we're not. We're only at 1:15. Where are we here? Yeah, Ken's just going, if you have an abduction and been told that the government was heavily involved, yeah. The funny thing there is the government doesn't actually have a functional way of shutting the memory down. Well, they do. They call it a lobotomy, okay, or electroshock therapy. It's not shutting memory down, it's just damaging the brain. But that being said, even off-worlders don't actually wipe your memory. They put an overlay on it. And that's the other thing. If you find you're suddenly dreaming of owls or deer, okay, quite often that is an overlay. Unless you actually are a hunter and you've been out in the woods a lot and you're actually seeing these things regularly. If you got an abnormal setup, something that does make sense. Why am I suddenly dreaming of owls couched, perched on the end of my bed? Odds are they weren't owls. Okay. But again, you always look for the logical reason first. Okay. Now, I am curious, and I'm not expecting a response here, because this is still a public forum, and most people do not want to step forward and say, "Hey, I think I may have been abducted," because unfortunately, even in the UFO community, I find way too many people look at somebody saying, "I think I had an abduction," I was abducted. There's a staggering number of UFO specialists, that work in this field that claim to believe, and yet will categorically shut somebody down the moment that person says, "I think I may have personally been abducted." Oh no, that's just your imagination. You're taking this whole research thing to an all new unhealthy level. Okay. The reality is, it is not, you know, this is seldom the case. Black Dragon goes, midlife crisis when you're making breakfast for dinner and you don't have bacon. No, Black, I'm going to modify that a little. Okay. It's not a question of a midlife crisis, it's a mid breakfast crisis. I'll tell you, I've run into that myself. I'm looking forward to baking the eggs, get the eggs on the pan, and you're like, "But my bacon, I don't have my bacon." I will tell you though, bacon in a microwave is not a replacement for bacon on the frying pan. Okay, I cannot speak to bacon on a grill. Yeah, Joe, as near as I can figure, Black Dragon is sort of addicted to bacon. Which is interesting. Nathan goes, after conferring with a friend, I think I was abducted, but it was done through coercion. AKA, they convinced you to go on board. Which is another way of doing it if you're trying to cut down on the amount of trauma. I got a kick out of it. We had a situation a while back, and we did it in game time. Years ago, I was playing in a game, right? And I was playing a game of D&D, of Aftermath. No, was playing a game of D&D. And the game master decided he was going to be really cute about it and had the aliens come and abduct us. Well, that was great. The aliens forced us all on board. And then one of the other players and I took over the ship and went for a joyride. That was always entertaining. Yeah, JCL goes, I do bacon in the oven. 400, no splatter. Nice. Yeah, I have this little thing about cooking. I always screw it up. Can't track time, don't track fan, don't track space, no taste buds, and I hate the method of telling your food's done with the fire alarm going off. Funny part there, Black, there is no way anybody can prove you wrong. And this is something I actually lost a friend over, or lost friendship over this. But somebody's opinion cannot be wrong. The facts they're working on, the information they're dealing with, may be misleading, but their opinion will absolutely be right. It cannot be wrong. You know, that's the other thing when you mention that, Derek. Another indicator, and it's a really bad one to look at, but this whole idea of feeling like you've been abducted, like you've been probed. If you've got pains in places that you normally don't have pains, aka most people don't have pains where you get probed. Okay, unless you got kids, and then you might have pain there. It might have pain there. But if you've got pains in places that don't add up, like I remember one day, see, and I literally told my other half at the time, it felt like somebody had amputated my arm here and reattached it. Okay. And I mean, it felt very like there was so much pain involved. And it felt, well, the pain was right here. But you got to remember something really weird. Way back before that pain happened, and I can't do it now. But if I took my hand, I don't think I can. Yeah. If I force it over, okay. If I like it was sitting upright and I'd go to reach my shoulder and literally my hand would be over here. Until the day after, it felt like somebody had severed my arm and reattached it twice in 1 week. Okay. And then, I got itchy and I reached up to scratch my neck, and you see me do that. But until that point, I had never felt my right shoulder with my right hand. I'd never been able to reach it. Now, let's scroll that down a sec. Just catching up a little here. No, Philip, really not. I've got some really good friends that are Sangina, and the nice part about it is they're actually really nice people. Starflower, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I'm going to jump back here for half a second. If you guys like the stream, do me a favor, give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. It's this sharing of connections of lines that is going to help us build this community to the point that we can actually change the path that life is on. Okay, because in case you hadn't noticed, our society is going down a very dangerous path. Okay, now I see when I talk about abductions, quite seriously, a lot of it I speak from experience. Been there, done that. Now I don't get abducted so much as invited, but that's why I've gone from going abductee to contactee or referee, which may be more appropriate in some ways. I'm looking at this, like I keep seeing, I watch the chat room because there is so much, there is so much support there amongst you guys. This is a microcosm of what the world should look like, in my opinion, with people reaching out to actually help each other. And that quite often, Starflower, I gotta ask, if you don't, and hopefully you don't mind, do you know what race you've been dealing with? Race and or races. It is more a curiosity point in my case. Yeah, absolutely it does. You know, I mean, I've seen some of the people I've run into. Okay, because and a lot of it has to do with they are either so non-human or so big that you look at them going, "Uh-oh, there we go." I appreciate that, Starflower. We were talking about this earlier today. I don't know if you were listening at the time, but this is the mark that you'll find if you've been tagged. Okay, if you've been picked up. That's the mark of the Spanializer, which is what they use for the hybridization program. Nathan goes, I'm still waiting for my invite to the Klee Clock. Last night had a weird thing. Used a t-shirt around my eyes while I sleep, but there was the sound of closing insect wings by by my ear under the shirt. That can wake you up in a hurry. Or it'll make you hide under the covers. On the plus side, I can tell you this. Um if it was under the shirt, we can safely say it was not the Klee Clock. It could have been one of their probes, could have been one of their young. Okay. But the Klee Clock themselves, if they're under your pillow, you're in trouble. That depends on who put it there. Football is going, how do you remove an off-world tracker? Now, the simple way of doing it, and I doubt very much many people can pull this one off, but a subquantum phase transference will actually drop the thing out of contact. But you gotta remember, with some of the advanced ones, they actually lock to you on a genetic level, making removing them almost impossible. But the thing is, your body can actually dissolve them. And this is what causes them most of the time. Yeah, and somewhere, and I'm still going through, I forget offhand. I know I've got the information. Okay, somewhere in my information, I've got the actual pilot, the actual race that uses the Tic Tac ships. But here's the thing: the information I've got is a stack of paper about that deep. Okay, but do understand, Starflower, as soon as I track that information down, I'm absolutely going to be posting the information. Because that's one of the more common ones, and I'll be danged if I've been able to remember who it is. But that's one of those projects I'm going through now, is going through that stack of paperwork to put it all together. Yeah, taking pictures while you're driving is usually a bad idea. Now you're gonna have to give me a minute. Well, you don't technically have to. Okay. I'm just going to grab a little bit more water. I will be back right away here. There we go. And now we have water. See, I keep water in the fridge for a reason. I like cold water, not warm. Yeah, what do we got here? What do we got? Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, dash cams where it comes to alien ships, I can see that being a bit of a problem. Most dash cams are actually pointed down at, eye level where the traffic is. If you've got one pointing at the sky, you might be concentrating on something a little odd. Okay, although I don't mind it. From my standpoint, that always works out well. What have we got here? Oh, football is just saying during live stream last night, Vault accused me of being a fake account, and someone put me in timeout without warning. I always find that fascinating. The reality of it is there is not a soul on the planet that can say unequivocally your account is false unless they were there. Okay. At which point it may not be a case of it being false. It may be a case of it being misremembered. Like I said, somebody's opinion cannot be wrong. The facts can be wrong. The information you're building your opinion off of can be misleading, but your opinion itself cannot be wrong. Okay. Um what do we got? Ken goes, I watched the jetliner leaving contrails. When I got behind the tree, a long cylindrical object was in the trail following it. Where are we here? I'm just reading some of what was written while I was out of the area here. Yeah, and the neat part there, Nathan. This is why I tell people when they go, are there more sightings happening? Yeah, there are, but it's not an increase in activity. It's a question of people are paying more attention to what's off planet. Okay. By the way, curiosity, Ken, that cylindrical object. Did you notice whether it had any windows, and if so, what pattern configuration they were? Okay. Football, for the time I've seen you in here, I've never seen you once behave like a troll for what it's worth. Now that I know what a troll is, aside from a regenerative, really nasty little thing. And, as far as you being mean, I don't honestly think you really know how to be mean. Well, maybe you do. But around here, you certainly haven't shown any indication of it. Absolutely, Nathan. I absolutely agree with you there. Nathan's just backing it up. He goes, football, if football cat equals good people. Absolutely. And this is why, from my standpoint, I look at this stream and go, let's see if we can keep this with your guys' help. It's been working like a charm. Um, being opinionated is not a big problem. Being rude, being disrespectful because you're opinionated can be complicated. Okay. Okay. Appeared to be about the same size as the jet. Well, if it appeared to be the same size as the jet, we can rule out the off-worlders, or more to the point, we can rule off what you're looking at, if it was solid and that size, you're likely looking at a probe, analyzing the stream. You know, one thing you may not realize, and it's just a curiosity, Ken, when you saw the chemtrails, okay, you saw them all, and chemtrails tend to go in one direction. Did you see a second set of chemtrails going across the first set? You know, it's a curiosity thing, because what usually happens, and this will simply corroborate. That's why I'm giving you a second to actually catch up to that side of it. Football, on my part, absolutely. You know, I absolutely, agree with you. This has to stay a safe place. You know, the streams that I put in here, Nathan stream, Dave Scott stream, Shadow and Sun, World Bigfoot, BMR, even Nikki, like Nikki's. In all fairness, I haven't been on Nikki's stream in a while, but the timing is a little screwy for me. Oh, okay. Here's why that cylindrical object was put out there. What they do is, when the chemtrails are put out, people are right. Okay, chemtrails are being put out there. They're right, in my opinion, anyway. The chemtrails are being put out there by Terran scientists, and they are working on playing games with the atmosphere, with the populace. But that little silver vehicle that you saw, the silver ship, that is put out there. Okay, those are put in behind the chemtrails to do detailed analysis of the chemical at dispersion, in order to formulate a counter agent to be put out right away behind it, or more to the point, across it. And of course, what they do is they go across it so they will disperse and cover everything. Okay, that's the primary purpose of it. Yeah, Black, the way I look at it, people run into problems when you state your truth and it doesn't coincide with theirs. Okay, that's where you run into interesting complications. Yeah, but the thing you gotta remember, Ken, is when if you're putting the counter agent into the ocean, the atmospheric, the way the weather patterns work, the ocean will bring that chemical back up into the air and disperse it all over the world with, via rain. And rest assured, it's the same ecosystem. It's the same weather patterns that get to the world. And this is why we look at the way things are going and go, okay, this is John. And by the way, in answer to your question, the reason I say the off-worlders are putting out counter agents, I was actually taken up one day when the whole thing about the off-worlders, about the chemtrails, came out. And this is decades back now, I think. Don't quote me on the decades back. Okay. But I was taken up and shown what they're actually doing. Okay. Nathan goes, my friend Shingoji saw a tiny craft around a large aircraft. It seemed to be following and moving around it. Larger plane was leaving a trail. Yeah, again, it's the same issue. You know, Unfortunately, I see this way too often. Okay, but there are people, there are people that literally, like when I was younger, I used to play around with cloud busting. And rest assured, cloud busting is easy compared to cloud assimilation. That too can be done though. I actually did it one day in the middle of a blue sky. I was sitting there and all I did was concentrate on drawing the clouds together. There weren't any available to start with. Now, of course, when you're looking at cloud busting, you're looking at something that people turn around and say, well, it's just the atmosphere. It takes so long, it just happens. And I agree. Quite often that's what it looks like. But after you do it enough, all of a sudden it no longer becomes a coincidence. You know, yeah, absolutely, Joe. I agree with you on all fronts. That's why when these people come on, as a matter of fact, we've been talking about her, so we really should do this. Matter of fact, we've been talking about both of them. And I am talking about in a good way. But this is the link to Nikki's live stream. I don't honestly know what her times are, but there's the link to her live stream. So absolutely drop in, give her a listen. If you like what she has to say, give her a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay, and this is the link to Bigfoot's. Where are we here? We go copy. This is Bigfoot Michigan Rob's. As a matter of fact, I'm to think of it, I've got to drop him a line. Can't get my mouse to work properly. I think my cat chased my mouse around. Okay, there's the link to Bigfoot Michigan Rob's. Okay, and again, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, really give him a thumbs up and, subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Football. Yeah. No, sadly, football. I've got nothing against the conversation, but I am absolutely certain I bridge that gap on this channel, and they are going to end up, and they will shut me down, maybe permanently, maybe only temporarily. So I just don't go there. I learned the hard way back when lockdown was happening, which isn't really that long ago. I learned the hard way that there are certain topics I don't touch. Okay, because do I agree with the public reports? No, I don't. Okay. Am I going to get into it? No. On the other hand, if somebody asks me in private, whether it's on my, on email or on Messenger, okay, or face to face, I have no problem talking about it and laying my perception on my perspective on and down. Okay, I've just learned, and I keep telling you people the same thing. You must follow the laws of the land in which you are. Nathan pipes up and goes, "Hey, I'll tackle that over on my show," and I got no problem with the tackling of it. The problem is, I suspect very strongly, Nathan, that even on your show, you're going to find most of your people agree with the way I look at it. I don't know if you've got anybody on your show that actually buys into the public rendition. Yeah, and that's understandable. There's one day of the week, and just so you're aware, Joe, let's face it, gaming is not for everybody. Okay, but I've been gaming since the first Saturday of June in 1976, averaging 2 games a week, even now. you know, but, and just for your edification there, Joe, we look at the gaming world on this stream. We usually focus on it usually on the Tuesday. Once in a while, we get a little carried away because of on Sunday, because it's open topic and who knows what's going to come up there. Yeah. Black Dragon's just saying, I will say, no planes were involved during that day. That the neat part about it, when I take a look at the way the world is, okay, and Nathan goes, Arcane of aluminum in the water. No, I haven't talked about aluminum in the water. I have, I do look at fluorine fluorine in the water, and go, why do you do that? Of course, I also look at caffeine, decaffeinated coffee, and go, what is the point in taking the caffeine out? You know, this is why I drink black coffee. I figure if I'm going to poison myself, I'll do it the straight way. Yeah, I've had to go back and forth from the computer too, and I'm not really moving that far. But I will tell you, I was really happy with my son this afternoon. As I mentioned earlier, I ended up grabbing a nap from 2 until 3, roughly. I think it was 2 till 3. Today is Sunday. No, today is Monday. I didn't write it down. Oh, there it is. But now I don't have a pen, so that's going to be a problem. In any event, what do we hear? Football is asking, are there black-eyed adults? I just came across that the other day, and the black-eyed children, and I gotta remember what the heck I did. I wrote it down for a reason. But the black-eyed children evolve into another older version. Basically, black-eyed children are called children for a reason, but as they get older, the black eyes go away. Oh yeah, my sleeping pattern down at football is completely screwball. I'll sleep for 3 or 4 hours at a time, and then I'll be up for 6 or 7, and I'll go back to sleep for an hour. But here's the kicker: I thought last month, as in September, I'd been oversleeping. As it turned out, because I tracked my sleep, I only slept an average of 5 hours a night. Like 5 hours between midnight and midnight. Okay, but I felt like I'd been oversleeping, but that's because some days I'll sleep 6 or 7 hours and completely scrambles my day. But yeah, that's one of those neat little things again. When I've got a stack of paperwork this deep that I've got to go through, and too many projects, which is why I've pared down the projects I'm really focusing on. You know, it really boils down to an issue of trying to piece it all together in a concise fashion. The thing I get a little bit of flack about, and this is why I've got to come on and start getting on to some of the shows to just talk about the books that I'm writing. Okay, people ask me, look, you're writing science fantasy and you're trying to tell me that these are real entities. Problem is, I've got the entities way before I've got the writing. Okay, and it's a question of the chicken or the egg. Yes, I do use definitive descriptions of ancient races, of off-worlders in the Yldrbacian Chronicles. Okay, the thing is, I had the knowledge of them before I wrote the majority of the books. Okay, but I do find, because you got to remember, races of the worlds is a reference manual. The Yldrbacian Chronicles gives you some of the attitudes, some of the personalities of these different people in the different races. You know, but the reason I started off looking at the abduction thing is so many people are going, how do I deal with it? Okay. The thing is, you cannot undo an abduction. Okay. You have to learn how to cope with it. And this is one of the things that I'm striving to work towards to help people deal with things. Which reminds me, I should actually get that. I wonder if I've got that. Might be one of the ones I'm already working on. Just looking to see if it's on one of the runs I've already got. I'm thinking we need another small book, another small booklet that explains, that takes what we've been talking about here and puts it into a written form. Okay, that helps put things in perspective because so many. Are we really? That's amazing. Thank you so much for the update there, Joe. I've got it listed on my screen here, but it's really, really tiny, so I don't usually notice it much. You know, I'm more concerned with I'll start feeling my throat seize, and it's like, okay, I've got to be getting close to the 2 hour mark. I can run 3 or 4 on Dave's show because I'm not the only one talking. But in here, and yes, I am looking into how to bring somebody on, but I'm still at that point of trying to figure it all out. And that is a pain in the neck, figuring it out of me. The thing is, I look at the whole issue. So many people are going, when do we get disclosure? Bad news, if you've been abducted, you've already had full disclosure. You've already got it. And to my understanding, what I found on the net the other day, approximately 62% of the American peoples believe that off-worlders are real and are here. Okay. Now, assuming that is reasonably consistent around the world, okay, you're looking at a lot of people. We're past the point of when do we get disclosure. We've already got it. You've got that many people that already believe they are here and present. Okay. You've already gone past the point of when do we get disclosure. It's already happened. You just have to catch up to it. And I know everybody's been talking about him in a good way in this case. So let's just go up here and where is world? Right there. This is the link to World's live stream. And guys, for those of you that have a live stream yourself, absolutely let me know and I will be happy to add you to the list of people that I actually do post here. Okay. If you do have a live stream somewhere, let me know so I can check it out. And again, in all fairness, as long as it's not promoting overthrowing a government or let's call everybody every name under the book, let's bully people on our site. I will not promote a site that seems to house bullies. It's just not going to happen. Of course, I got a little bit of a problem with the whole bully thing. Now, this is a stream to World's live stream. And as you can see, he comes on at 8 p.m. Central on Sundays. Okay. which is 6 p.m. Pacific, which is why inevitably, when I do get in there, I'm going to be late because I don't close here until 6:30 Pacific. But when it comes, the way I look at it is this: I've got a lot of people that come in here that have their own live stream. And the way I figure it, I can't get to all the live streams. I don't have enough time. Think that might have something to do with writing 29 books concurrently right now? Looks like I'm going to be starting a 30th. But I am focusing on getting a couple of them tied off. And where are we sitting here? Whoop, go there. Now I did start a little early, so I'm not shutting it down right now if I can hold it. If the throat doesn't give out completely. I gotta get used to that because every now and again I'll start early and go, my throat's not gonna hold. And I know everybody comes and goes at their own pace. I am happy to say that when I get done this stream, right, I only run the stream for 2 hours. And quite often I'm close to a full 24 hours of listening time on the stream by the time I get done this stream. Okay, this is why I got to look into the monetization of it to generate an income. I'm not expecting it to be a lot. In all fairness, I'm really not. But I do have to sit down and take a look at it. And frankly, the sooner the better. It was neat. I had a friend come down to help me. Turns out we're going to postpone going after my CPP pension for another 5 years. 4 or 5 years, because of the way it all works up here. That's a useless piece of information for the day. But again, with the newsletter, Positive Perspectives, it is 100% free. Okay. All I require, if you desire a copy of it, if you desire to subscribe to it, all I require is either a physical mailing address to send it or an email address. Okay. That's all it requires. Okay, because I use that newsletter, yes, to talk about things that are positive, that sort of thing, much like I do here. But I also run it straight through my advertising budget because that's where I do a lot of that side of it. So will there be ads there? Absolutely. Christy Abels, I have, will I set up a Patreon account? Yeah, but can you do me a favor? Because I never even heard of it. Can you let me know where I find that? I'm looking into opening all of them up because I know I've got to become much more visible in order to make things happen. But I don't think I've ever heard of a Patreon account or the Patreon site. Maybe I have just missed it. But am I getting into all of those? Yes. Right now, I've got Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Okay. I will be going into Instagram. I've been told get on to TikTok. Yeah, I've been told get on to TikTok. I've been told to get on to Pinterest. I'm going to be going into Shopify, and what is the other one? One is Shopify and one is Printify. I'm going to be looking into those as well. Oh, okay, I'm not, in all fairness, Christy Abels, I'm not actually on Space Travelers itself. Okay, I am subscribed to a few places, but I don't have a site on there. But will I be looking into it? The answer is yes. And let's just see, Patreon. Add that to my list here. I know I've also got to be updating my profiles and what have you, and bringing them much more into the modern world. Yeah, I swear I'm from the 15th century or something. But At the same time, I've got all kinds of little hiccups there. But I know I've got to get more into the modern day version of the public eye. And rest assured, that's not the place I would enjoy being. I never honestly thought I would ever be on this kind of a stream at all. This was not my number one, it wasn't my idea, but it also it wasn't a focal point. Because at the time when I started this, which was March 6th of 2021, okay, when I first started recording, I was only doing it once a week. I think it was once a week, but it was literally a pre-record. And I know I've got to get more of that done. And I've got to get into that on a regular basis. But, the reality is this is not where I saw things going. Now I'm looking at setting up a school where I can teach people how to deal with the paranormal. Oh, bonus. Yeah, PayPal is what I work with. I don't know how to set up Super Chat either. I work with PayPal for any of the books or any of the consulting I do. And that for me, this is actually the email address I use for for PayPal or for direct contact. If you guys are ever trying to connect with me, this would be the email address to use. Okay. And of course, if you want to look at this point, this has 7 of the 8 books, the details on 7 of the 8 books I've got. Okay. And I'm in the process of working of updating this one to give them to get the 8th book listed there. But I've got an account with Buy Me a Coffee. I just have no idea how to get things turned around. I got to look into that. I'm literally trying to figure this out myself or with the input of some of the people here because of the fact the whole technology thing. I was talking to somebody the other day and told them I've been fighting with computers since 1979. And she never missed a beat. This woman looks at me and goes, well, sometimes it takes a little while to get used to the computer. I looked at her, I said, I've been trying for 14 years with virtually no avail. I somehow find it difficult to see being able to spend another 40 years to get a little bit further down the road. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm aiming for another 67 years. 67? Well, I'm 60 now. I'm aiming for 127. So no, I'm looking for another. Yeah, that'd be 67. This is why I said earlier, I hope this is a midlife crisis for me. Because that means I'm halfway through my life. And I'm aiming for the 137 in a functionally healthy body. In this functionally healthy body. Okay. Now, yes, that's a tall order. One of the things that we look at when we're looking at potential abductions, some people I've talked to, what they'll do is go, I think I've been abducted. And you know full well that what they're doing is going, I need to feel special about something because I'm not happy with my life. I will tell you, one of the things I'm working on is helping you guys feel special about your own accomplishments in the here and now. Okay. That's the critical thing from my standpoint is if I can set things up here so when you guys reach that point, okay, you can walk away from the stream and go, I feel better today than I did. I feel better now than I did when I got on the stream. That ultimately is my goal. I'm looking at this and Derek's gone, Elon Musk brain. I don't know if I've got a brain like his. I mean, Lord knows I don't understand technology the way he does. Okay. I do feel that where it comes to money, like I love the money he's got, don't get me wrong. I have no idea how he said about getting it, but I will tell you, from my standpoint, money is a side effect, not a goal. But do I desire enough money in my life that I can sit back and not worry? Absolutely. That is absolutely what I'm looking at. But given that I've laid the situation out where 80% of my net profit is going back to the community, might give you an idea of just how much I really focus on the monetary side of things. Probably should think about it a little more, but what the heck. But with this in mind, where are we here? 6:20, that's not bad. But as you can as you can tell, throat is starting to seize, but then we're over the 2-hour mark. So with that in mind, guys, again, if you like the stream, do give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe. Oh, there we go. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Football has just announced. Last night I dreamt I won money on the lottery. Absolutely stay focused on that. But an added bonus to that. Okay, turn around. Okay, tonight, as soon as we get off the stream or while you're on it, write down, I won X dollars on the lottery. Okay, I won or I have won. Take your pick. Okay, as in present tense. It helps stack the deck in favor of drawing that finances to you. Okay, and rest assured, it does work. Okay, it's worked for lots and lots of people. I turned my own finances around last week by doing just that. Net result, my stress over finances kind of collapsed. But I'm going to bring this to a close, guys, because like I said, we're this time over the 2-hour mark. So I really want to say thank you so much for sharing your time with me tonight. I really do appreciate it. Tomorrow is Monday. No, today's Monday. Tomorrow's Tuesday. So we are going to be taking a look at the gaming world as in D&D and just how that can translate into the material world. Because yes, there is a way to link it. And would you look at that? We got 9 thumbs. Now, with that in mind, I will be back again. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.